Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to learn how we can create a slider shown here. So you can see the timer is going on. So every time the second is ticking, this is increasing. This sliding is increasing by 1 second. So this goes on. You can also use this trick to create loaders in your application. So let's get started. So let me minimize this. Now after that, if you come here, I have created a code sandbox here. So instead of writing the entire code from scratch, I will be explaining the every part of this code, like how it is working. So here I am using a React sandbox. So this is basically a simple React application, and inside the SRC we have app.js. So basically we have an app component, and also along with that we have styles.css. So this is this styles file I am using to write CSS classes, and I have imported this styles here. Imported dot slash styles dot css. So this is basically importing the styles.css file into our app component. Now app component is a functional component, so I will be making use of hooks. If you are not aware of like how useState works, please go through this hook first, then only start with this and also the useEffect hook. So let me explain the basic functionality how it works. So useState is basically used to create states in functional components. So here we can create a state for loading percentage, like how much loader has or uh, like the circle has loaded, and for the dot, like how much, what for considering the position of the dot. So this is how. And another state I have created for text for storing this value. So this is how it works. And this use state returns two properties. First one is the property value, and the second one is the method. So the set method can be used to set the value. After that we are using an useEffect hook, which basically, and I have provided an empty dependency array. So this useEffect works similar to componentDidMount in class components. So now if we look at the JSX, now here we have a div tag with class name of app. So if we look at the app class, we are providing a font family of sans serif, text align center, background color of black. So this entire background appears black, like here. This entire background is black. That's why I have given this color. And after that, I have given a height of 100 vh, so that it takes 100% of the height. If I remove this, let me show you. So this is how it's going to look like. Okay, this is not updated here. Let me refresh this. Okay, this is not getting updated here, but you can see here, this is how our view was going to look like. So I want to like uh, I want the app or application to take 100% of the viewport height. After that, I have given these three properties: display flex, justify content center, align item center, to perfectly center the center or timer. So justify content center uh, aligns it along the horizontal axis, and align item center aligns it across the vertical axis. So this is how this app class is working. After that, inside the app class we have a div. Okay, we have this div with which closes here with the class name of container. So what the container class is doing, let's check. So container class, we have two properties: position relative and transform scale to 100%. So transform scale to 100% I am using to make a timer look bigger. So if I remove this property, so this was its actual size, but just to make it look a little bit bigger, I am using this property. And why I have given a position of relative, this is because inside the container I am using some elements like this text element, and this is the dot element, this dot element. So I am using these elements. So these positions, the position of these elements is absolute. So do always remember this point, that whenever you are giving a position absolute, then let's say we are giving a position absolute to this text, then this text will be uh, setting its position according to the nearest parent which has a position property set to it. So if we are setting a property of container, property of this, so if we are setting a property of position relative, so now the text will be positioned relative to this container. So this is how the position works. That's why I have given this position relative. Now after that, let me remove all the unnecessary parts so that you can understand everything what's going on here. So so first of all, we are going to create this circle, the background circle. So For that, I inside the class name of container, I am creating an SVG tag, and inside that I am creating a circle. So now on the circle, I have three properties: center along x-axis 70 pixels, center along y-axis 70, and a radius equal to 70. And before that, let me show you the SVG. So over the SVG, I have given a width of 150, height of 150 pixel, and transform rotate of minus 85 degrees. Now why I have given this transform, I will explain it to you later. So for now, I am commenting it, and let me give it a background. So the red area is our SVG area, and inside that we have created our circle. So inside this SVG, this red area is the SVG, and inside this I have this circle tag. So this R equal to tells the R equal to 70 is the radius of the circle in pixels. So R equal to 70, this means from starting from the center. So this is the 70 pixels radius, and then center along x-axis and center along y-axis 70 pixel. Now what does this means? Cx and cy. So for this SVG, the coordinates start from here. So this is the 0 0 for this SVG, this point. Now what I want is that along x-axis go 70 pixel, and along y-axis also go 70 pixel. So now 70 pixel, because this height is 150, so 70 pixel will come somewhere around here. So 75 from here and 75 from here. So our center is located here. So these 2 points are responsible for telling the location of our center. If I move it to, let's say, 10 and 10, then our center goes somewhere here. And if I move it to, let's say, 0 0, so now we will see only one-fourth of our circle, exactly one-fourth of our circle. This is because this is 0 0. Now I am giving a radius of 70 and the center at this point. So this is how it works. So let me again change the properties to 70 to bring our circle into the center. Now this let's go into the styles for this circle. So we have covered, okay, we have covered app class, we have covered container class. This text class I will explain you later. Now let's come to the container. Inside the container we have an SVG. So I have already explained this, that I am giving width and height from here. If I increase this width, let's say 160 160, then you can see the red part, the red area is increasing. So this is basically the width and height for the SVG. So for now we want to keep it to 150 pixels. After that, let's move on to inside the container we have SVG, and then uh, we want to select our circle. So we are talking about this circle. Now I have given a fill of transparent. So fill is something like a background color in SVG. So if we want to give some background color, then we can use the fill property. Let's say I want to give a background color of green to this circle. So you can see our background changes to green, and this stroke works similar to the border. So let's say I want to give it a color of white. So now you can see the border changes to white. Stroke width tells us the width of the stroke. So if I change it to, let's say, 5 or 10, let's say, now you can see the width of our stroke is changing. So this is how the stroke works. So let me change it to again 4, and let me change the background, just because we don't need the background color. That's why I am setting it to transparent. Now also remove this SVG background. We don't need it anymore. Okay. So we have our first circle, and also change its color to whatever it was previously. So let me undo all the changes that I have done. Okay, so this looks perfect, and I am going to remove this red color. So we have created our background circle. Now what we want is the loading to appear over this circle. So for that I have created another circle. So let's create another circle, and let me remove this property for some time. So I am going to remove this property. Now we have created a similar circle, exactly similar to the first one. So this also has a center along x-axis and center. So we are cx and cy is same. So this means that this circle is also having center at the same location and radius of 70. So this circle is also, this second circle is also having the same size as the first circle. So this second circle is exactly above the first circle. That's why our first circle, which was this one, with the stroke of this color, is now not visible. grayish color is not visible because the second circle. So I am selecting the second circle using this style. So container, inside the container we have svg, and then we have circle, and using the colon nth child we can select the nth child. For example, this is the second child inside our svg, so I am pointing to the second child by passing to here. So this is selecting our second circle. Now for that, for the second circle I am giving a stroke. Let's say, let me try to give it a fill of, let's say, red. Now you can see our second circle is above the first circle. If I give it a fill of green, this is no longer visible now. So this is no longer visible because it is behind our circle. If I give it a fill of transparent, now you can see our first circle is visible. So mm, now we have our second circle exactly above the first circle. This stroke, so stroke we have given. Now whatever color we want to give to our loading, so I want this blue, nice blue color, so I have given this code has 007 bff for stroke and stroke width of 6. So just because I want the loading width to be more than the background circle, so I have given a for this I have given a stroke width of 4, and for here I am giving a stroke width of 6. Now stroke dash array. Now the biggest role in this, in creating this loader, is of these two properties, stroke dash array and stroke dash offset. So you need to understand both of these. So stroke, let's first understand what stroke dash array does. So if I hover over this property, you can see controls the pattern of dashes and gaps used to stroke path. So this basically controls the pattern of dashes and gaps. So for example, let's say if I give a value of 20, then you can see we have a dash of 20 pixel and then a gap of 20 pixel, and then a dash of 20 pixel and then a gap of 20 pixel, and then again a dash of 20 pixel and then a gap of 20 pixel. So this is how it works. Let me try to give it a value of 30. So now you can see it has a dash of 30 pixel and then a gap of 30 pixel and then a dash of 30 pixels and a gap of 30 pixel. Now you might be wondering why this dash has a width of around 60 pixel. This is because our svg is starting from here, our circle is starting from here. So from this position, this is getting from here. So or from this position, this is 630 pixel of dash and then 30 pixel of gap, and so on. This goes up to here, and then we have a 30 pixel of dash and 30 pixel of gap, and then again we have 30 pixel of dash here. That's why this is looking like it is a single dash, but there are two dashes actually. So this is how the stroke dash work. So if we go on increasing this value, let's say I give it a value of 120. Now we have a dash of 120 pixel and then a gap of 120 pixel and then a dash of 120 pixel and then a gap of 120 pixel. Now if I give it a value of, let's say, 400, now you can see this is forming a proper circle. Now because we can only give a dash of 440 pixel and the remaining space is left as a gap because we don't have any more space here. So if I give it a value of 440, this entirely covers our entire svg. Now what we want is, if you can see, if I am changing this value 410, 400, so our circle loading is starting from here, but what we want is that our timer should start from here. So for that purpose I have given here. Okay, let me just go to that position. So inside the container svg, now what I am doing is I am rotating this svg by 85 degrees, or let's say by 90 degrees, to make it exactly perfect. So by I'm rotating this by 90 degrees so that it starts from here. Now if we go into our second child, and now if we try to give it a style, let's say 390. Okay, so now you can see this is something working like this. If I give it a value of 400, so it is increasing, and now if I give it a value of 420, 420, 430, and if we give a value of 440, this entirely covers our circle. Now if we come to stroke dash offset, this tells us that after how much space this should start. For example, if I give it a value of 10, okay, 10 is very less value, let's give it a value of 30. So now you can see we have a dash of 30 pixel and then a gap of 30 pixel and then a dash of 30 pixel and then a gap of 30 pixel. But since I have given this value, if I give it a 0, then, or since our svg is starting from here, we have a dash of 30 pixel and then a gap of 30 pixel. But if I give it a value of 30, okay, let's try to give it a value of 10. Now this is starting with the offset of 10. Let me just make it a complete circle. Now you can see if I give it a value of 0, or SVG is starting exactly from here. Now if I give it a value of 10, then the offset of 10 is added here. If I give it a value of 20, then 20 offset is added. If I give it a value of 40, then 40 is added. If I give it a value of 100, then it starts after 100 pixel. And if I give it a value of, let's say, 220, so exactly half of this 440, now we have our 50% of our circle loading completed. And if I give it a value of let's say 440, so or this starts from here, so stock this 440 minus this value is equal to what our loading will be. So for example, 440 minus 440 is equal to 0, so our loading is 0. And let me change it to 220. So 440 minus 220 is equal to 220. So 220 is half of 440, so our loading is 50% of completed. So this is how this stroke dash offset and stroke dash array is working here. Now since I am going to programmatically control this stroke dash offset from the component, every second what I will do is, like, I will increase this value of stroke dash offset every second to make this a loading. For example, if we give it a value of 440, let's say 440, okay, so this is 0. Now I will programmatically decrease this value. Let's say if we go to 400, then if we go to 300, so if we go to 200, 100, and then 0. So you can see as the value of this stroke dash offset is decreasing, our loading is getting filled. So this value we need to manipulate programmatically to make our loading work properly. Now I am going to comment it from here because I am going to control this property from the component. Now if we come to this position, now you can see I am applying this stroke dash offset equal to loading percentage. So now how I am calculating stroke dash offset I am providing here, and now how I am able to calculate this loading percentage. So let's go there. I have created a use state here, state of loading percentage, and set loading percent method to set the value of loading percentage. Now inside this use effect, I am giving an empty dependency array, which means that this use effect should run when the components mount. So this use effect will run only once. Now I am starting and initializing an interval, set interval here. So this method, this set interval, inside the set interval we have this method. So this method is going to run after every 1 second. So, or you can say after every 1000 milliseconds. Now inside this I am calculating seconds. So whatever the time is, now what I need is seconds. So seconds is equal to new date dot get seconds. We can create a new date object, and using the get seconds method we can extract out the seconds. Now out of the seconds, what I need to do is, now I need to calculate this, what should be the value of stroke dot dash offset. So for that, what I am doing is 440 into second divided by 60. So this second divided by 60 is equivalent to let's say 30. So our seconds is, let's say, 30 divided by 60, so we will get 1 by 2, and 440 into 1 by 2, so we will get 220. 440 minus 220, we will get 220. So 220 means half of this value. So half of this value will come here. So that means our percentage is 50% complete. So you can use this formula to calculate the value of current loading percentage. Now I am calculating the current loading percentage and setting the loading percent to current loading percent after every second. So every second what I am doing, I am extracting the second, uh, and then I am calculating the current loading percentage, and I am then setting the current loading percent. And whenever I set this value, then I am also passing stroke dot offset equal to loading percentage. So this value I am setting every second, and then I am attaching it to our second circle here, stroke dot offset equal to loading percentage. So every second this percent is calculated, and this loading keeps on increasing. So this is how this stroke offset is working. Now after this, we come to our text. So inside this container I have created a div with a class name of text, and inside this I am passing the text. So I have created a use state with a default value of 0 0, and this provides me two properties: the text, which is the value, and set text, which can be used to set the value. So I am extracting the seconds after every second, every seconds I am extracting the seconds from date object, and after that I am setting the seconds. So what this logic is doing here, I am saying that okay, if seconds is greater than equal to 10, then just exactly pass the second, and otherwise append a 0 in front of it. So when this value is 1 2 3 4 or 5, so we want that it should we should append a 0 in front of it. So for that purpose I have written this condition inside the set text. So we are setting the property, and this setting the property, and then we are interpolation, using interpolation we are rendering the text here. So this is making our text updated after every second. So this is all about the text. Now all we are left with is the circle, is the dot here. So for the dot I am again creating a div with a class name of dot. Now let's go into the styles and go to the dot class. So here we have the dot class, and for the dot let me give it show you the background color. So what I am doing actually is dot is not this dot actually. The dot is this rectangle, this square. So I am giving it a position of absolute, and then width of 100%, height of 100%, so that this occupies exactly the same width and height as our SVG. So as our container, sorry. So since this is inside a container, so this will also be of the same height as a container is. Now if we go here, we have a background color of green that I have given. Transition I am giving so that this transitions from one state to another smoothly, rather than instantly changing instantly. If I remove this, now you can see this starts changing instantly. So just to make it change smoothly from one state to another, I am using this. And z index I am using just to make this dot appear at the top of all the elements. So if I remove this background color, and if I also remove this z index, now you can see a dot is appearing behind the background circle, and that is of gray color. So that's why I am using it here. And let me just refresh this. Mm, I have done something different here. This we are getting some space here, so let me check for that. Okay. So we are having this uh, transition here, and then g index to make this dot appear at the top. Now after that, uh, so we were having now if you look at this, I have given it a different color. So now you can see that this dot is this green area, and then I am using this dot colon before property to this before element to create this dot exactly. So I am giving it a content of empty, and then width of 20 pixel, height of 20 pixel, and then background color to this blue color, z index to 1000 to appear at the top, and then position of absolute, and then border radius of 10 pixel I am giving, so that this appears circular, border radius of half of this value. So since width and height is 20 pixel, and border radius of 10 pixel will make it a perfect circle. And then from top minus 2 pixel, I am doing this just to make some adjustments here. So if I let's remove this background color, so now you can see that our circle is appearing something like this. So just to make it appear exactly at the center, so you can see if we give it a minus 3 pixel, so now our circle is appearing exactly center to this line, loading line. And now I am giving this a transform translate of minus 10 pixel, because you see our circle is here. So what we want is that our circle should be exactly at the somewhere here. So for that purpose I am giving it a transform translate of minus 10 pixel. So now you can see our circle is exactly at the center of this line. And okay, so for that let's change it to minus 4. Try to minus 4 is, I think minus 3 works good for this. So this is how we are creating the dot here. Now let's just give the background color to the dot and just remove this unnecessary background. So now this is the how this dot is getting created. So this is and after that, now what we need is how we are calculating the position of this dot. So basically I am rotating this element actually. So when I am rotating this green element, this dot is automatically rotating around this circle. So for that purpose, inside this component I am inside this set interval function, and then I am getting the seconds after every second, like whatever the current second value is, and then I am getting the current dot. So what I am doing here is, if you check at the, okay, let me just close this. So you can check here that I am giving it a style or transform of rotate by dot degree. So now how I am calculating that how much degrees I should rotate. So I know, we know that our circle is, complete circle is a 360-degree rotation. So here we are calculating that current dot. So current dot should rotate by 360 multiplied by seconds divided by 60. So this is something like we are trying to calculate the degrees based on the value of seconds. So this formula we can use to calculate the number of degrees that need to be rotated, and then we are setting this value. So we are using this use state dot state to store the rotation of the dot, or you can say the rotation of this is not actually the rotation of this dot, this is actually the rotation of this green area, which is responsible for rotating the dot. So we are setting the dot value here, set dot to current dot, and then we are passing it from here, that is to the styles transform, and then rotate by dot degrees. So this is responsible for rotating this after every second. So this is how the entire this entire logic is working. Let me just remove this. So so if you have any doubt, this is all about this video, and if you guys have any doubt in this, then let me know in the comment section, and I will be sharing the link to this sandbox. You can also, okay, so I will be sharing this link to the sandbox in the description. I have added it in the description, so you can open the sandbox and see the code, how I have done the code for this. And thank you guys for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you.